Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Total Villain Multiverse. Now, before we start this episode, I am going to do a little bit of self-promotion. If y'all didn't see yesterday, I actually spent 7 to 8 hours, making a Total Drama Multiverse Season 1 intro. Now, it is really good. I'm really proud of it. There's little parts that are a little unpolished, but I do like it a lot. So after this, go check it out, because when I remake Season 1, that is going to be in the beginning of every episode. Now, over the weekend, I have my buddy coming over. I'm going to go watch FNAF 2 in theaters for the second time. You should totally go watch that as well. But I'm going to make Season 2s, and then I'm going to make Season 3s. So, assuming I have it done, Monday's episode will have the Season 3 intro in it. If not, then Wednesday's episode will. But yeah, I really love it. You should definitely go check it out after this. But let's get into this episode with Boney Island. Now, if y'all remember last episode, Sasha, the only reason she's not like going insane right now is because of Wanda's new spell. But what she plans on keeping on Sasha a little bit so that Sasha can stop being so hovery. But Death and Bowser are also just searching for the advantage. Now, I actually think that Sasha would struggle too much even with this to be able to really do anything. Also, if she gets found by Death or Bowser, it's pretty much cooked. I think Prime Sasha could maybe take on Bowser, but I don't think she could take on Death even then. So I think what ends up happening here is Death would probably kill both of them pretty easily, and then he would spend the rest of the night trying to search for the advantage. And I don't think he'd find it, just because I think he'd probably get annoyed. He has a little bit of an ego, so after not finding it for like 2 hours, he gets a little bored and stops looking for it. Instead, he starts trying to look for the team swap advantage. But, of course, y'all know that the team swap advantage has already been found. So that doesn't really matter. So there will be no advantage in today's challenge. I mean, there will be, but no one's able to use it. So yeah, let's go ahead and bring Bowser back to Alejandro's allies, where he has a terrible like, this is just really bad for him right now. We have Death going back to Heather's herd, who's pretty good right now. And then we have Sasha going back to Fiore's favorites, where game-wise she's good, mentally she's not. So she comes back, and the first thing she does is starts breaking down in tears to Wanda about how she wasn't able to find it. And Fiore ends up coming up to her, smacking her, and saying that she's a failure and that she's not getting that spell that Wanda promised. And Sasha is freaking really sad. And Fiore just walks away smiling. Now, Fiore is not evil incarnate, but she is a bitch. And she's only 10, so I don't think her brain is recognizing how actually tragic this is. Also, she just loves this whole vibe because there's all these bad people around her, and you know, she's a bad person, so she's kind of blinded by the experience to really recognize how dire this situation is for poor Sasha. But someone who's a little less or a little less heartless, I should say, is Sonar. Now, Sonar and Rouge have spent most of this season so far flirting with each other and then making out, Lindsay and Tyler style, right? They've been a bit in the back seat, but while Rouge was busy, Sonar saw this interaction. Now, after this interaction, Sasha was left by the other two, and Sonar comes and sits by Sasha and starts talking to her about what the heck is going on, because she seems to be hanging out with two people that absolutely hate her. And she comes clean. She's like, well, I really don't like hanging out with them, but when I'm away from Wanda, it feels like all my guilt, all my regrets, everything comes back to me, and it's like it's overwhelming, and I keep having super dark thoughts when I'm not around her, so I have to stay around her. Now, Sonar is about to continue when he looks at Sasha and sees a faint red glow around her ear, but it's not like her whole ear, just like almost like in her ear. Now, he is about to ask her about it when his echolocation goes off and he hears Wanda coming towards him. So he turns around quickly. I mean, he doesn't know it's Wanda, but he can hear somebody coming towards him. And she's like, what were y'all talking about? And Sonar just starts bumbling like an idiot before Rouge comes in from the bathroom where she was at, and basically says, oh, we were just trying to talk to Sasha about making an alliance to just take out Sin. And Wanda's like, oh, sure, why not? Now, Wanda doesn't actually agree with this. Obviously, Sonar and Rouge are lying, but she doesn't know that. So she's not like in an alliance with Sin, but she'd rather keep Sin around for two reasons. One, Sin is easily the best challenge. That there's a reason, or the best challenge help, I should say, to help Fiore's favorites win the most challenges because she's freaking ridiculous. But two, they are still friends, or at least I don't know if I'd go as far to say friends, but they're chill together. More so, they're closer than like Rouge and Sonar are to Wanda. So the actual plan for those four is to get out Rouge or Sonar. But yeah, after this, Sonar and Rouge leave, and Wanda comes up to Sasha and is like, I'm surprised they went up to you of all people for freaking advice on who to vote out instead of me or Fiore or someone who's actually competent. And Sasha just sighs and says, yeah. Now, this is a really effed up version. I just kind of realized this. This is like an even more effed up version, like flipped of what Sasha would do to Anne and Marcy. Because she was like how Zombie Wanda was, minus the whole magic and like trauma forcing. But she was like this to Anne and Marcy. This is kind of karma, just way too much of it. On the other teams, though, Heather's Herd, I mean, there's not too much going on outside of Harley, who actually there is quite a bit going on, because Harley is really starting to feel left out with Heather and Daisy, who have just completely become way closer. Daisy is a better person now. Yeah, she's still a little crazy, but she's a better person now. And wants to be kinder and stuff, and she is to Harley, but she hangs out with Heather way more than Harley. Now, this wouldn't bug Harley if it weren't for the fact that Heather wasn't as kind of person and is a complete asshole to Harley. But it looks like Harley might have a little bit of good in her future, as Magica and the Mimic, who are talking about the team swap advantage Magica found on the last Boney Island, the one before this episode. They're talking about that, and they are discussing who they want to swap, because they can swap anybody from any team. They could swap Alejandro and Venom. They could swap Heather and Springtrap. They could swap freaking Bowser and themselves. Like, freaking Magica could swap herself with somebody. But they end up coming up with an idea. Now, I mean, I just kind of revealed that part of it has to do with Harley, but we'll get more into that once we get to the end of today's video. But before that, we have our challenge section. Also, by the way, nothing's really going on Alejandro's allies, outside of the fact that Sloane is the most well-liked. Bowser's kind of left out, and Sloane has kind of quickly become the real team leader. Even though Alejandro has the team leader name, Sloane is really the team leader here. Yeah, pretty much everyone is chill with her. Even Toga. Which, by the way, Toga and Harley have been hanging out. But ever since Toga chilled out a little bit, after hanging around Harley, she's chilled out a little bit with Alejandro, because Harley is friends, well, as far as she knows, Harley's friends with Heather, and then she doesn't want to make, Heather is friends with Alejandro, so she doesn't want to make Harley mad, so she's chilling out with Alejandro. Also, she doesn't want to get voted out. So after that happened, Heather's like, okay, well then y'all can't hang out anymore, which obviously pisses Harley Quinn off, and Toga a little bit, but not as much. Outside of that, yeah, not too much else is going on, but we can get to our challenge section. Now, this challenge is going to be our first non-elimination round. However, I do beg, please stay till the end of the video, because there is still a lot more that's going to be happening. And I'm not even just talking about lore, I'm talking about game-wise as well. So, we get to Challenge 51, Ward In and Out. That's a fire name, by the way. This is suggested by a new person, this being N_A_arrow_error, or R. I mean, I think it's NA error. I'm just going to say NA error. So, NA error suggested, sneak into an ancient city, loot it, and don't alert the warden, aka 6. I'm using 6 to be the warden. I don't know if this was supposed to be a reference to something. I don't think it was, though. If it was, I'm sorry, NA error. I didn't get the reference, so I'm just using 6 as the warden. Get out, then get out. The team with the least loot will be granted 0 reward. Second place will be granted a night out of their cell. They'll still have the cross necklace, though, unless they're like Alejandro, Heather, Sasha, you know. And first, we'll vote one team member to be permanently freed from the necklace. There will be no power usage in a violent way, outside of 6, of course. Now, what I mean by that is, like, Death can teleport around, but Or what's a better example? I mean, like Sin can fly around, but she can't like freaking spawn a black hole, right? And well, I mean not fly, but like she can use her tentacle things to freaking make her go faster. Rouge can fly around, but she can't freaking kill Six, right? Mainly because after last challenge, Lauren kind of wants to not have these villains hurt her friends because they're all still pretty pissed at her for that. Not to the point of like unfriending her though. Anyways, the advantage obviously wasn't found, but if someone did get it, they would be granted a very worn out map to a treasure chamber, and some woolen snowballs, which yes is incredibly weak, but it could be a good distraction. So yeah. Then I guess we can just get to starting. Now, I think that the teams would probably stick together for the most part. I think Alejandro's allies would all stick together. I think Heather's herd would send out Death, but then the rest of them would stick together. I think Fiore's favorites, I think again, Sin would be distant and just refuse to even interact with anyone else because that's kind of what she's been doing. She's just been trying to be like, hey, keep me around, I'll help you win all the challenges. Because she just wants to freaking get this over with and then kill the entire universe, or multiverse. So she runs off. But again, the rest of these four obviously stick around. And Sonar and Rouge, who have talked about what happened with Sasha, are also trying to stick around to see what happens with Sasha. And as far as these three are concerned, it's because they want to form an alliance. But anyways, also Sasha asked him. Anyways, I think that overall, I think Death would probably be the biggest help in this challenge since he's able to teleport around through the shadows. And I think that once you get the loot, you have to bring it back to the front and just put it in like your section. So with him teleporting, you'd be able to get a lot of loot in there before anyone else even finds any. Now, for Alejandro's allies, I do think that they would find quite a bit of loot, but I think they'd actually, with all of their team being together, they'd actually probably get confronted by Six, since they're not the quietest group in the world. And now Six would freaking start just throwing people everywhere, and since they can't use lethal force, and it's really hard to hurt Six without like actually just killing her, since she's like 6 inches tall. They all kind of just get thrown around and separated across the ancient temple. Which, by the way, this ancient temple is just a different universe. It's a random universe. It's not one that will ever be important. Or ancient city, I should say. Now, for Heather's herd, outside of Death, I don't think that that Daisy and Heather and Harley would be much of a help. Now, Daisy and Heather spend the entire time just yapping to each other, gossiping about all the teams, about Sonar and Rouge, and even talking a little bad about Harley and also Toga. Now, this would make Harley feel pretty left out before she is whispered to by the Mimic, and she goes over to the Mimic and Magica. The other two don't even notice, and they talk to her, and they basically explain, hey, so we don't really care about this challenge because we really don't care about the rewards that much, but we do want your help with this. And Magica pulls out the team swap advantage, so Harley's eyes light up. But again, more on that later. Vader, I think Vader's probably gone off on his own by this point because he's just using the Force until he's eventually confronted by Six. Now, this would be a really cool fight because I don't really know what Six's powers are, but she clearly has some version of the Force, right? But obviously not Star Wars, but you know what I mean, if you've seen it. Well, obviously Vader has the Force. So they both just end up pushing each other, and it'd be really cool until I think Death hears them, and I think that Death will use the shadows to transport Six into a secret base that he found under the place. Now, this secret base is actually the treasure chamber that was in the advantage. Now, he doesn't even realize this because he's just trying to get rid of Six. But Six is trapped in this treasure chamber because it's locked from the inside. But she's trying to get out. And I think that, I don't even know if anyone would find it. I think eventually, now that Alejandro's allies are separate, I think eventually Sloane will be able to find it. Because she is the only one who studied realities even more than Peely. himself. So I think that she'd be able to. And I think that just by recognizing patterns and stuff, I think once she opens it, Six freaking jump scares her and pushes her out. And as they fight, Shin ends up hearing it because she's just been running around grabbing stuff on her own, and she runs over. Now she freaking just runs past both of them. She wants to kill Six really bad, and Sloan, to be honest, because they're humans. I actually don't know if Six is a human. I mean, I would assume so. And she goes into the treasure chamber because they learned about the advantage. Like Lauren, whenever she started the challenge, Lauren basically said, "Oh, so everyone failed getting the advantage, but if you did get it," and then she explained it. But she ends up just using her tentacles and like all her weird abilities. They're not even like, I don't even know what they are. She has all kinds of random crap to just grab as much treasure as possible. And she starts taking it back as Six chases after her. Sloan goes in there to try to find any scraps as well. Now I think that it's actually probably a good thing Alejandra's allies got split up, because that means they're covering way more ground and they're all just kind of grabbing a bunch of loot. Especially Bowser, who really wants to impress his team, especially after being a complete screw up during the Boney Island thing, or just when he wanted to impress his team. So he would probably get a lot of their treasure, and I think that'd be really good for him in his team size, but I don't think it would flip anybody. But also, like, Afton's getting some, Zomboss is getting some, Alejandra's getting some, Toga is getting some, etc., etc., etc. Heather's Herd, I think, would honestly, even with death, just not do too great in this challenge, because Heather and Daisy aren't really paying attention. Harley, Mimic, and Magica are scheming, and Vader and Death are together, which sounds like a good idea if you run into Six again, but it really isn't because you're not covering as much ground. So I think that overall, when it comes to this challenge, I gotta give that win to Fiore's favorites. You see, Sin just absolutely, or not the win, but, well, who do I think? Because I think Sin got the whole treasure chamber, pretty much. But I think that Six is able to knock a lot of it out. Yeah, here's what I'll say. I think Six is able to knock a lot of it out from Sin as she's running towards the beginning, where you're supposed to drop off all the loot. And as she does, this trail is found by, I think, like, Harley and Daisy find it, but mainly a lot of Alejandra's allies find it. Plus, Sloan gets the little scraps she can from the treasure chamber. So I think overall, Alejandra's allies just barely pull through and get the win, while Fiore's favorites come in second and Heather's Herd comes in last. Now, Heather ends up blaming the whole thing on Harley Quinn because she wasn't with them, and if she was with them, they would have won, because she would have been able to pick up more stuff instead of just yapping to randoms, as far as Heather's concerned. Now, this is the thing that pushes Harley over the edge, and I think that she ends up smacking Heather, and then freaking yelling at her that she's a bitch and yada 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 yada. Of course, like Lindsay level crash out. And I think that Magica and Mimic are just smiling as this happens. So, when it comes to the post-challenge section, obviously there isn't an elimination ceremony tonight, but I'm still going to, I'm not going to delete it just for this video, but I'll probably just end it on the post-challenge section. With Alejandra's allies, they won first place reward, which means that they can vote one team member to be permanently freed from the necklace. And I think this is where Sloan has used her charisma to become free. I think Afton and Zomboss both vote for her. Actually, I can see Zomboss voting for himself. I think Zomboss votes for himself, Bowser votes for himself, Afton votes for her, Azula votes for her, Toga votes for, probably Sloan, and Alejandra votes for Sloan. So, with almost every single vote, and also Sloan votes for, I don't know, she wants to be nice to somebody, so I think she'd vote, like, who's the least close to her right now? Toga? She votes Toga, which makes Toga really happy. So, with one vote Toga, one vote Zomboss, one vote Bowser, and 4 votes for Sloan, Sloan is now permanently freed from her cross necklace. Now, this doesn't seem like that big a deal to Lauren, but obviously, if y'all been keeping up, especially with the post-credit scenes, y'all know it is. Mainly because Lauren was already planning on stopping it if Zomboss, Afton, Death, Vader, Mimic, a lot of these people who have like actually commit war crimes, freaking Zombie Wanda or Sin got the votes. She was already planning on stopping it and canceling it. But with Sloane, as far as she's concerned, Sloane is just a normal woman. Like, she's just a normal girl. So, there's no reason for her to really be a problem, especially when Lauren herself has 6 on her side, as well as all kinds of other people. She knows that Sloane is a really big problem for the Reality Zero residents, but she just assumed that's because of Sloane's company and her power. She doesn't really do that much homework, Lauren. She takes after her father. when Chris invited Sin in freaking one of the season 1 episodes. But anyways, for second place reward, they're free for the night from their cells. And during this time, I don't think Fiore's favorites would have too much going on outside of just celebrating them being free from their cells, except for Sasha, who stays in her cell, and is confronted by Sonar and Rouge, and they have a pretty good bonding moment where they're just comforting her. Now, if you're wondering why on a season of villains, 2 of the villains are pretty comforting, that's because Rouge is more so an anti-hero, especially in a lot of the modern day stuff, instead of a villain. And Sonar is only put on a villainous path because of certain decisions made in the Dispatch game. But he does genuinely want to be a hero, and in the end of that game, regardless of what you choose, he ends up being a hero. Actually, I think there's one decision you can make to make him not, but that's not what happens here. He was taken away to the final reality before any of that even happened. So yeah, they're both only really villains by circumstance. So they have hearts, unlike Zombie Wanda or Fiore or Sin or Venom, unlike basically the entire rest of the team. So they have a pretty good moment. But Zombie Wanda was watching them, or actually Fiore was watching them and then alerted Zombie Wanda. So yeah, that's not great for them. But the main thing here is Heather's hurt. Now, they didn't win a reward, but they definitely still have to deal with the team swap advantage. So, what was the goal? Mimic and Magica are on the minority, along with Vader. But they want to be in the majority. So, they will take Harley Quinn under their wing, after noticing what's going on between her and Heather, and Daisy, by letting her swap Heather. Then they're going to make Harley the team leader, or at least try to. And then they're going to swap Heather Toga. And the reason they do Toga is because, one, Toga is a really good friend of Harley's, so that helps them. And will also stay with Harley, and by extension them, which helps them officially gain majority over Death and Daisy and Vader, right? So now they have these 4. But 2, it also puts Heather over here. And while Heather is with her boyfriend, who is still that team leader, instead, she's banking on the fact that Azula, Sloane, Afton, and Zomboss, as well as, I guess, Bowser, are smart enough to recognize that this is a power couple that they don't want to enter the merge. Which, obviously, these are probably 4 of the smartest, outside of, like, Azula's pretty smart, but these 3 are some of the smartest that we have ever had on the show. So, they might be able to recognize that pretty quickly. I mean, we'll see over these next few episodes. But on Heather's herd, Toga is more than happy, because 1, she's happy for Heather, for Harley, to be away from Heather, but 2, she's happy that she's in majority with her friend, instead of in majority with Alejandro, who she's kind of not really chill with. She was just kind of horny, and now she's not anymore. So she's not really, she was fine with this. She was just kind of bored, and she wanted to hang with Harley. So after this happens, Heather has a huge crash out before being calmed down by Alejandro, while Daisy is just like, really? You would really do that? And Harley's like, hell yeah, I would. So that's how the teams have swapped. We have the Insanity duo over here, and then we have the freaking best ship in Total Drama or Adventure Camp history over here. So when it comes to voting for a new team leader, I think that it'd be pretty easy with Harley voting herself, Toga voting for Harley, Mimic voting for Harley, Magica voting for Harley, and then it doesn't really matter who these people pick, but I think Death and Vader would vote for each other, and then Daisy would vote for, I don't know, like Vader. But it doesn't matter because Harley Quinn is now the new team leader. And as for Heather, she is now no longer a team leader, but her boyfriend still, or I mean, I guess her husband still is, because they're married now. But that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. A little bit of a shorter one, but like I said, I do want to have some more non-elimination rounds so we can really flesh out these characters before they're eliminated, because I have so much story I want to tell with these characters, or at least most of them. As you can see, the only characters that really weren't doing too much were Rouge, Sonar, like Vader and Bowser, and almost all of them got bigger roles this time around. So yeah, I really do hope y'all are gonna enjoy these kind of episodes, though. I mean, I have the team swap in here because I still want to have important stuff happen in these episodes. I don't want it to be downright filler, but yeah. Also, there's going to be post-credit scenes in these episodes as well, so you might as well keep up with that if you care about the lore. But again, one last thing. Go ahead, check out the Total Drama Multiverse Season 1 intro. I put a lot of work into it, and I really hope y'all love it. The Season 2 one should release on Saturday or Sunday, and the Villains one should be in the next episode. Excuse me. And then one last thing. I forgot to say this earlier, but today is the premiere of episode 7 of Digital Circus, which means, as a little celebration, I plan on making a video where it's what if all the main Digital Circus characters competed on Total Drama Island. Actually, I'm going back and forth on if I'm going to do Total Drama or Disventure Camp, but I'm probably going to do Total Drama since I know Season 1 of that better than Season 1 of Disventure Camp. So yeah, it's going to have Zooble, Gangle, Jax, Pomni, Kinger, and Ragatha all competing instead of other characters. So I really hope y'all do join me for that as well. But until next time, see ya. Guys, I deeply apologize, but I completely forgot to do Boney Island for 2 episodes in a row. So, our first post-credit scene is going to be Boney Island once more. If I keep forgetting this, by the way, I'm just going to start making it a post-credits thing, but I'm going to try not to do that because, honestly, that's kind of annoying. But for Alejandro's allies, I think that since Alejandro wants to prove to these 4 that Heather's worth keeping around, he nominates Heather, who's fine with it. As for Heather's herd, I think that they'd probably go, I think the Mimic would volunteer, again, wanting to getting closer with Harley and, by extension, Toga. And then for Fiore's favorites, they'd probably go with, I don't know. I'm going to bring these people down while I think. Probably, I can't do Sasha again. I think Sen. They probably go Sen just because Sen will pretty much nullify Heather and Mimic from doing anything. So they go ahead and send over Sen. Well, Fiore decides to send over Sen. Send over Sen. Okay, bro, my humor is broken. But yeah, again, I apologize. I keep forgetting to do that just because it's a new thing, right? But I'll try to actually remember next time. Getting into the real post-credit scenes now, we pick back up with Sloane. Now free from the cross necklace, she's also free to leave her cell at any time. She's still sleeping in there, but she's able to walk out in the middle of the night if she wants to. Well, she does do that. She sneaks out, and she goes ahead and makes her way all the way across the island to the trash pile, the same one that the Mimic was born out of last season. And she ends up scavenging throughout the night for a bunch of different parts. Now, it's not optimal, but there is a lot of random trinkets from across the multiverse in there that were going to be used for challenges or are used for challenges or all kinds of stuff. So she's trying to find anything she can for the Zero Bot, but obviously this isn't all she's going to need for it. So it's been a minute, and I thought we should catch up with Chris and Chef, because they've been hanging out in their original home reality, the Total Drama reality. They've been chilling, doing all the things they used to do in Canada. Well, I guess not Canada, because Canada is part of the U.S. in this timeline. Although I guess we can just say state Canada, which is so stupid, but it's really funny. Well, they're hanging out a lot, and they're at they've been finding their old friends, even meeting up with past contestants. They've been going on interviews because Total Drama Multiverse Season 1 did air in this reality. The other ones only air in like Reality 0 and then in Reality 37. But Season 1 did air in this reality, and everyone saw it, so they've been going on interviews, living the high life. Well, they're at a bar, and they're hanging out, they're having a good time together, just chilling. When all of a sudden, an old friend they weren't expecting to see comes and approaches them. Now, he's in a hood at first, so they can't tell who he is. But when he reveals his hood, they recognize him. They recognize a very orange old friend. A very controversial old friend. Yes, I am talking about Donald John Trump. That's right, bitches. I'm bringing him back.